Hey guys, for my final presentation and operations management, I am recording. I am doing a presentation on the internet. I've chosen two companies. Vodafone New Zealand will be my first one, and then Telstra Australia is my second company, and I will compare those two, the operations management processes and systems. I chose these two because Vodafone NZ is a competitor in New Zealand, so they weren't really the market shareholder, but they're quite prominent. They're massive globally, and then they came into New Zealand have put a big market hold share, so I felt that would be good. And the Telstra Australia, on the other hand, where that was the market shareholder in Australia, and just compare the two that we have. So starting off with Vodafone. Vodafone is the largest mobile and fixed network operator in all of Europe. The world's largest Internet of Things connectivity provider. Internet of Things is kind of like anything that has Wi-Fi capability that's kind of classed as Internet of Things. So they're kind of that connectivity provider. M-Pesa technology platform in Africa, that's kind of like a different kind of pay service for mobile and internet plans, so it enables over 42 million people to benefit from access to mobile payment plans for financial services. As they say, they operate mobile and fixed unit networks in 22 countries and partner with 48 networks, mobile networks. Vodafone NZ is one of New Zealand's largest and leading digital services, offers more than 3 million connections to consumers and business networks, and existing mobile network coverage is about 98.5% of where Kiwis live and work. So that 98.5% is where you'll kind of expect to get reception, so they don't reserves and stuff like that. It's like, that's not saying New Zealand has 98.5% coverage, but it's like where New Zealand, how can I put it? New Zealand has, Vodafone covers New Zealand 98.5%, anywhere where you travel, commute, it's just excluding like kind of big forest areas in the middle of nowhere where no one is expected to kind of be. So that's Vodafone. And then we have Telstra. Telstra is Australia's leading communication and technology company, offering a full range of communication services, competing in the telecommunications market. So they provide 18.8 million retail mobile services, 3.8 million retail fixed bundles, standalone data services, and they also do voice services and stuff like that. So globally, Telstra's from Australia, but their business model, because it's so big in Australia, expanding to Asia Pacific, 3,500 employees in 20 different countries outside of Australia, with a significant headcount in Asia, providing services to thousands of business owners, governments, stuff like that, carriers. So that's Telstra. So yeah, as you can see, the two differences between Telstra and Vodafone. Telstra is the main provider and the massive. Vodafone is the second leading market shareholder in New Zealand, and they've got 3 million. So there's a 15 million difference between the number one in Australia and the number two in New Zealand, all due to people. So we've got the quality processes. So in the internet, you obviously want users want good quality internet. They want the internet to be connected. They want to have good speeds. They want to have signal and stuff like this. So one of Vodafone's ways how they do it, they've got every single web, when you go on their web page, they have a down here they'll have the network status, the mobile, and it kind of has a green to a traffic light indicator. Same with the landline and broadband. So that's kind of on all of the web pages of Vodafone have that kind of signal there, and then you can also go on to Vodafone NZ and you can find out what coverage they do for the 4G, what coverage they do for the 2G and the 3G, and I've also put the 5G coverage in New Zealand because there's none. So if you think 5G causes COVID, then you need to have a look around. But anyway, so as you can see, this is the 4G coverage all throughout New Zealand. And I had another screenshot, so I just zoomed in a bit more, and that was the just an in-depth coverage. And they like to Vodafone and obviously push their coverage out, so maritime users and boat users can obviously use 3G and 4G wire on their for their radios and stuff like that. Then we've got Telstra. So Telstra, as you can see, they have some 5G network up and running. So in their big centres down there, and I think there might be Melbourne there, and that's where are we talking? Maybe Canberra, Victoria, New South Wales, somewhere in New South Wales. And up here, this is Brisbane here. So there's some 5G being rolled out, a lot of 4G everywhere and 3G. As you can see, the size different from Australia. It's quite a lot harder than New Zealand. New Zealand can fit into Australia quite easy with their coverage, where Australia is so massive. There's so much area they have to cover for internet, so it can be hard and can be a little bit more spaced out. So just typically, Vodafone will do about 7 million mobile calls, but 3 million texts. But like the key thing that Vodafone have, so they've got 1,560 cell sites in New Zealand, and then Telstra in Australia have 7,800 4G sites and 8,100 3G, and their 5G is starting to roll out. So they've got almost 10 times the cell sites of New Zealand needed for the land space. Location and layout strategies. So there's 44 retail stores throughout New Zealand with Vodafone. Like I said before, 1,560 cell sites. Telstra have, like I said before, 7,800 4G sites, 8,100 3G sites, and they've got 360 retail stores. So I guess the layout strategy for the stores themselves, they're looking to sell mobile plans, mobile phones, internet plans inside their store. So it's quite product orientated, a lot of visual cues. You want to see what you're getting for your money. With the cell towers, I guess it's like process layout, because they want to specifically place that cell tower where it's going to have good reception and cover people that need it. There's also sustainability. So both companies were quite big on sustainability, I guess, as an internet provider. And you are somewhere where it's, you are kind of all over your country. You've got network cables all over your country, so you have to have a big kind of impact on the environment. So you want to kind of replicate that in what your company does sustainability wise. So Julia Jones was a sustainability director for Vodafone NZ, and they are looking to reduce their emissions by 60% from electricity. Their emissions have reduced 60%, and they're reducing their focus by 10% over the next 3 years. In that sense, Telstra wanted to be carbon neutral by 2020. It was one of their goals, and they made it in July 2020. Was suited carbon neutral, 55% reduction in the emissions, and then they produce 3,923 tonnes of e-waste, and that's all collected and all recycled, so 100%. Two initiatives that they've done sustainability-wise. Vodafone put in SIM cards into kind of traps for pests and stuff like this. So what will happen is the trap will go off, and it will send out a signal using the Vodafone network to the centre to say, hey, look, we've got a trap that's gone off, and we've got a pest inside. So that kind of so they've done that to kind of help dock and promote themselves resource-wise, because you don't have to have a trapper going out checking those sites every 2 weeks. They'll get a test when the trap's gone off. And Telstra, I think what they've done is an initiative for the Yara Yara Biodiversity Corridor. So Yara Yara was a place in Australia where it was a lot of native scrub was cleared for farming, which never went ahead. And because of all that clearing that they done, a lot of native fauna, bird life, wildlife, all of that took a big hit and really struggled in the area. So that was so they went to Yara Yara to plant more trees and have a big impact, and that's one of their big initiatives that they do sustainability wise. This is a suggestion. Now I'm no expert on this. So Vodafone, they're the second biggest market shareholder, so I guess their goal was to kind of be the first. I guess it's hard when you've got Sparkle Telecom being government owned and then having all of that. Customer satisfaction, there's actually been a few staff reviews about complaints and stuff like this. What Telstra do for customer satisfaction, they actually record each complaint and stuff like that, and then that gets formatted into a graph, and that's something that they look to cut down on each of their AGMs, and they have that in their annual reports. Like I said, the two things that, the two big companies, so they've kind of got the same pattern, the big emphasis on sustainability. For me, Vodafone had more of a user-friendly website for internet. Telstra needed a more of a user-friendly website for internet. And Telstra obviously is the most expensive internet service provider in Australia because they're the market shareholder. They pretty much own all the networks, all the lines, so they can kind of demand their price. So they've got the most customers. So until other competitors have a cheaper price and stuff like that, they've set the bar, and they won't probably come down. So here's sort of the key things. So internet speed wise, we have internet speed wise. Cool, I just had to pause that because my flatmate came home and I don't want him to bust in the room yelling. I'm doing my presentation. So back when I was talking mobile speeds, so New Zealand has the 18th fastest mobile speed in the world at 56.4, and their landline speed is 135 megabytes per second. Now Australia has the 10th fastest mobile speed, which is 72.93 megabytes per second, but has the 61st speed in the world, 55.97 megabytes per second. Now our mobile speeds and their landline speeds are exactly the same, and that's due from the fact that Telstra, it was privatised, and then I know it was government owned, and they got sold to be privatised. So Telstra owned all the lines, and because of the market holder, they didn't want to upgrade all the. Apologies, that is my timer to tell me to hurry up. So pretty much. Australia had really bad internet speeds because of Telstra not upgrading their landlines, but that's kind of in the process now. But 61st in the world, and you've got countries like Andorra and Third World Africa countries with faster internet speed than Australia, and we've got our internet, their landline and our phone speeds are pretty much the same. So conclusion-wise, both are successful companies. Vodafone has made a great impact as a competitor to the New Zealand market. Australia and Telstra need to upgrade their broadband lines due to the internet speeds, but both really have a similar formula for success. So yeah, I guess when you're that big, there's one thing you do, and you can just keep going on that. As before, my references, and that's me on my presentation.